Okay, this video is going to take you through the steps of how to complete the cereal box design project. If I go into the cereal box design, here you're going to see a very short little video here of the way that they used to create many kind of designs, including cereal boxes. So when this pops up, you'll see. So they would mock up, actually cut out and mock up very much, many of the time I should say. They would sketch these things out, print them out in other cases, resize them continually, and paste them onto whatever box or object that they were looking to design at the time. So you can see here they're kind of moving pieces around. Sometimes they'll rotate a piece, take one piece off, replace something else, and that's the way that they would begin this design process. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use Photoshop. All right. So there is a list here, which I'm going to also hand you when you start this project, which is going to list for you the things that your cereal needs to have. It needs to have a name of the cereal, a slogan, and it gives you some examples like Better Eat Your Wheaties or Kid Tested, Mother Approved, a description of the cereal like Crunchy Corn Clusters, and the cereal company logo, which you can steal from the Post or Kellogg's or Quaker or General Mills or any of that stuff. And you got to think about these things. You know, who's your target consumer? You're selling to kids, you're selling to adults, the elderly. Who are you selling to? Pick a base ingredient, what type of grain, pick a shape that people like, maybe, and you'll see we'll give you some different kind of bowls of cereal. Pick a sweetener if desired, like if it's sugar coated or honey glazed or chocolatey or marshmallows or whatever. And those are the things that you're going to need to sort of work with. I'm going to give you in the folder for your class this that says images of cereal, and in here we have bowls of cereal, milk pouring, and people eating. When you go in here, you can open up any of these. Just right click and open with Photoshop to open them up, and you can use them in your design if you'd like, or you can go online and choose your own. To get started, you see I made a file here in Photoshop. To do that, I went to File and New. And the size was what you see here on your screen, 8.5 by 11 and 250, RGB for the color mode, and white for the contents, and then click OK. So here's my blank page. And in the background here, you can see that I opened up this one that has, see if it pops up for me here. Okay. The one with the, I was going to say Cheerios. I think these are Fruit Loops or something like that, or they're close to Fruit Loops. What we're going to do then is select this out, use any of your selection tools that you need, and then select the Move tool, click, hold, drag, and drop into your white page. Now once it comes in here, it's going to be pretty big. I'm going to go back in here and just close this out because we've already dragged it in. Alright, don't save that one, but you will be saving this big one, this white one that you came up with. You will be saving that as your name and cereal box. Now once it's in here, I'm going to move it over here so we can see a little bit better. I can move this around anywhere I want. I can make it bigger or smaller, right, with Apple T. I could leave it large in the corner like that so we can see the the texture of the cereal, and that's fine. And you should look online and take a look at some of the cereal box designs that have been done in the past. I'm just going to close this out for a moment and take a look at some of these. Alright, so all the ones that we looked at had very similar properties to them, including the stuff from that list. But as we looked through them, right, we would click on one of these and we opened it up. This is when I went through it with the class, and we took a look at some of these cereal boxes that we had up. Right, so they all have that same stuff. They have the picture of the cereal, they have the name, they have the ingredients or the description of what's inside. Some of them have a slogan like Better Eat Your Wheaties, and a description, and sometimes they have a person on them or a cartoon on them. They have a giveaway. At the bottom they tell you how many net weight ounces there are inside. So you have to decide what you're going to do the cereal about. Are you going to do it based on a real person, on a cartoon? How are you going to handle it? And then you can bring those things into here. So just as an example, let's go online quickly. Let's find a picture of somebody and we'll bring it into here and we'll use it, and then we'll show you the last piece of this, which is kind of placing some bars and text on this in order to get the information across to whoever the consumer is. So in this case, maybe I'll go to I don't know, I'll do a Camilo Anthony cereal, or Nick's cereal or something, right? Alright, so we go to images and you click on one. And then when this comes up, you're going to see View Original Image here. So you're going to click on View Original Image, and the good one's going to come up. Then we're going to click, hold, drag, and drop this onto the piece. Now once that happens, once it comes over, I'm going to close out of Safari. go back over here, and now just like any other piece, you have this piece, and what are you going to do with it? Are you going to move it around? Are you going to do Apple T and make it bigger? Before you do that, you might want to cut it out. You know, we might want to make some kind of selection using a magic wand or a quick selection, and we might want to kind of make a selection around him. Right, and I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So you can do your selections any kind of which way you'd like. Give it a second. Quick select takes a little bit of time, but it usually gives you a better selection. If the background is mostly one color, it'll do a good job. And then here at the bottom, I'll get this little piece too. Alright, and I'm going to hit delete this time also. Give it a sec there. Good. Okay. Get rid of it. And then you can use the eraser tool to get rid of the extra little pieces, or some other selection tools to get rid of the little pieces that we missed the first time. Like this piece here I can get rid of, or even this little piece in his hair. Kind of fix it up just a little. Alright, so you can take time to make your selections better. Since this is just practice here, I'm just showing you. So Apple T maybe, right? Make it bigger. Pull it like right there. I'm going to OK it. And then you can start to move your layers around. I pull it underneath the serial. So now the serial is going to be in front of him, right? And I got some other little pieces here that I could like erase and mess with. Then we got to think about the title of this thing. Now you can do your title with the text tool in Photoshop. You could do it in Illustrator and then just copy and paste it in, and that's totally fine. So for this, we're just going to do one here in Photoshop, and I'm going to call it Mellow Puffs or something like that. Alright, I'm going to select it. I'm going to make its headband. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to pull it on top. Pull the layer on top. Once I pull it on top here, I'm going to change its font. Right, make it something quite a bit more interesting, hopefully. Then I'm going to increase the size of it. I don't really love that font, but I'm going to keep it for now. I can select all of this. You can also go to Window at the top, go down to Character. When you go to Character here, these are all the options for your the letters. This is the space between your letters. It's called your leading. Between your lines of text, that's called your leading, and I'm just going to make them a little bit tighter. Kind of like that. I'm going to click OK at the top. Everything looks good. And now I'm going to move this and resize it wherever I want. I'm going to put it right about there. Maybe I'll move mellow down a little bit. Alright, and take these mellow puff layer, maybe do an Apple T thing to it, right? Rotate it. So you can kind of move every single piece around, make it look the way you want it to look. Okay, good. And then any of those layers, just remember you can double click. You can give things a stroke, a drop shadow. You can change the color on the inside. Like I could make the stroke here, you know, the orange from his jersey. I could increase the size of it here. I could put a drop shadow on the back of this, make that normal. So there's a whole bunch of options here. You don't have to stick to any one particular option that I'm using. You can kind of make it your own. And then the last part, besides all the information obviously that has to go on there, so you have to check the list for that. But if you want to create any kind of shapes to put things on, you simply use these, and they're very similar to the tools in Illustrator. There's rectangles, ellipse, and there's custom shapes. So you can use like a rectangle, for example. Make sure you have this button selected at the top, this one right here, which is going to make its own layer, its own shape automatically, and here's the style for it. So if I want to do a solid white, I would do a solid white, or I could change that color. I could make that, let's just say orange, and then I could click and drag to create whatever kind of shape that I want. So I just kind of click and drag just like in Illustrator, and I create a shape. Now that shape, you can see it made its own layer. It's sitting at the top of my layer stack. If I take it, move it under, or at least under the letters, now you see the letters come on top. And the nice thing about this is there's a white arrow tool right above it, direct selection tool, and I can actually click on it and it becomes anchor points just like in Illustrator. So I can pull this down if I wanted to, and I could pull this up, let's just say, and so you get kind of this cross thing. You can make any kind of shapes you like. Then the mellow piece here, I could do, when I click on it, I could do Apple T, right? I could right click, I could do skew, and I could take this, kind of pull it at an angle. Right, so you could work your letters to kind of fit whatever you're doing. And there's other pieces here in the custom shapes section. If you go to custom shape, up across the top, there are different shapes that you can choose. So for example, I could choose the burst here, and I could create a burst maybe in this corner, right? And right now it would be orange. I could add another one of those by copying it. I could do Apple T. There's a whole bunch of options here for you. You just have to be creative and think about what you'd like to do. And then this one, maybe I'll change to the same blue that's here. Okay, and you'll see what starts to happen over time. You create these shapes, you type on top of them piece by piece, kind of put it together. If you want this to show up on top, you just move layers around and all of a sudden his head pops out, right? So slowly but surely you kind of put it all together. All right, then this is the end of the video. Then there is a second part of the video that shows you how to take your finished product and put it on this sheet, which you can see behind me here. So there is a finished piece to this. It looks like this. I'm sorry, this one. So this is what it looks like. You're going to put it on this at the end, and it's going to be a finished piece. Another example of a finished part of this would be this. Right, another mellow one that we did, okay? Be gone mellow here, all right? So that's it. Ask me any questions if you need.